Well, hey there, YouTube. I want to start this video out first off with a shout out to my buddy Michigan Silverback. He has a YouTube channel. Go ahead and search for that, Michigan Silverback. He has a YouTube channel that he's kind of a man after my own heart in that he does a lot of do-it-yourself stuff. He does a lot of modern stuff. He modifies and makes modern camping equipment. But I think I'm talking him into moving back 100 years ago and start doing stuff 100 years ago. I've moved him back a little bit because he just did a video on 1942 mountain pack and some modifications he's done to that. I remain hopeful, but you will enjoy his channel. He's been a long-time supporter of this channel, both when it was the Sarge Vining channel before it got hacked, and this channel now. He was one of the first to jump right back on and get a subscription. And by the way, I don't do this often because I think you're smart enough to know how this YouTube thing works, but we're about 110 subscribers away from getting the first step towards remonetizing the channel. I never made very much money on the Sarge Vining channel, but every little bit helps. Okay, so let's get into the subject of this video. This is kind of like what I call a hybrid video, in that I've got this listed in 3 different playlists because we're addressing actually 3 different areas of what this channel is all about. I've listed it in the History of Camping Gear playlist. I've got it listed in the Living History playlist, and I've got it listed in the Camp Cookery playlist, which I'm starting to populate now. Getting this shipment that I'm talking about here is kind of the last piece of the puzzle to get started in earnest on the Camp Cookery. Now, about a week or so ago, I did a video on the deal of the century. Okay, and Dave Canterbury was an integral part of that, in that the frying. Well, I will list that video. I will post a link to that video at the end of this one, so you can go and just enjoy that story. I love that story. I love retelling it, and if I start now, I won't stop until I finish, and we'll never get to the subject of this video. I also did a video a week or so ago, a couple days ago I released it, on tent and awning companies, okay, and how camping gear was made and marketed primarily before 1925. And that applies to living history as well as the history of gear, because it tells us as living historians what kind of reproductions we might be able to use. And that's a little bit about what this video is about. At the end of the Deal of the Century video, I revealed that Dave Canterbury ended up with a frying pan, a skillet, that he had initially traded to the fellow that I was trading with. And what I got out of the deal was 2 skillets that he made in his forge. Now, if you are a member of the Bannerman's Camp Facebook page, well, you already know most of this story. Dave has a forge on his property. He got, I should show this page, he got an armload of cold handle skillets from an antique store over there near where he lives. I'm going to follow Dave around every time he goes antique and just pick up what he doesn't get. But several of those, a number of those, I don't know how many, a number of those cold handle skillets had really bad, nasty handles on them, and he didn't feel right selling them. But he has a forge, and he called and asked me if I do a repair on these and turn them into folding handle skillets, is that an acceptable thing for living history? And I said, absolutely, positively, 100%, yes, please do. And the reason why is it helps me illustrate another thing, another way people got and made their own camping gear, particularly before 1925, but for most of the first half of the 20th century. Now, let me just say that if you are trying to do this in a place that looks like this, and you have equipment that looks like this, somewhere you're going to have a shop that looks like this. Now, what I mean by that is, in about 1920, the 1920 census was the first census that showed that there were more people living in the city than living in the country. But it was like 50.2%. Sometimes I don't have the exact numbers, but it was pretty much even. Okay, the same number of people were living in the country as were living in the city. Now, in 1920, and before that, if you lived out in the country, it wasn't like it is today, where if you live in the city, here where I sit here in the Houston metropolitan area, it takes me maybe 30 minutes to get to the country. Okay, what we call the country here in Texas. There's a joke about that, but I'm not going to tell you. Back in the prior to the end of the First World War, that distance would have taken me all day to do. Okay, because the condition of the roads, because the condition of the vehicle, aggravated by weather, all sorts of things. Okay. And the further you lived from a city or town of consequence, the harder it was for you to get stuff. You had to be self-sufficient. We've got people right now who are spending a whole lot of money to get back to where people were in 1917, 1918. Okay, almost totally self-sufficient. Now, let's take a look at one of these frying pans that I got from Dave. Okay, Dave has these made in his forge. It's a forge on his property, and he makes stuff like this. And by the way, what I would urge you to do is go to Facebook, go to the Bannerman's Camp Facebook page. I will make you a member unless you are a commie or a child molester. Okay. And if you're a commie molester, you go right to the head of the line. Okay? Go there, and if you've got something that you'd like to see made, just say, hey, Dave, do you think you could make some of these? And post a picture of it. Because that's how stuff was made. People looked at pictures. They looked at pictures in magazines. They looked at pictures in books. And then they made something like it. Okay? And when you live in a place like that, you don't throw anything away. If something breaks, you fix it. Okay? It might not be a 100% fix. If you have a cold handle skillet, for instance, and the handle on your cold handle skillet gets boogered up, well, you could, if you had the equipment, turn it into a folding handle skillet, like this one that Dave had made in his forge. Okay, I don't know how many of these he's got left, if any. He will make them as he finds them, and he will announce it and stuff like that on Bannerman's Camp and on his personal Facebook page. And wherever he cares to, he's a grown-ass man. He can post it anywhere he wants to. Okay, so here's what they did. Okay, they took the handle off the cold handle skillet. They drilled some holes for rivets, modified the remnants of that cold handle skillet to be riveted to the body of the skillet, bent some wire, like we say here in Texas, so that when it is rotated up, hold on a second, I gotta pull that little thing. I'll show you what this little dookus does, so that it'll snap in place. Okay, and then they've got this little dookus here. Sorry to use a technical language, but this is a dookus. This little dookus right here slides down and pinches that together so that it doesn't get all floppy-doo on you. Okay? Now, you ask me, how does that make it early 20th century? Okay, let us go down the road from where I live here. About a 2.5 hour drive. But I gotta drive through Austin. Anyway, let us go to the Sauer Beckman Living History Farm. It is next to the LBJ Ranch, which is a national park site. Sauer Beckman is a Texas Historical Commission historic site. It's a Texas historic site. And they interpret farm life in Texas between 1915 and 1918. Okay? On their property, they have this building. And inside this building is their blacksmith operation. Sauer Beckman Farm is located about halfway between Austin and Fredericksburg, Texas. And in 1915 to 1918, Fredericksburg is over here. Fredericksburg and Austin were the only towns of any consequence anywhere near where Sauer Beckman was. Okay, but in 1915-19, it might take at least one overnight stay to get to Austin, maybe two, depending on weather and road conditions, and the same distance to Fredericksburg. Okay, that's where the stores are. That's where the tent and awning company is. If they need anything like that, they have this blacksmith shop to take care of any of the equipment and anything else they've got going on in the shop, on the farm, including if the mule stomps on the handle of your cold handle skillet. In that shop, there is a forge where you can heat metal and bend it. And if you try real hard, you can weld. There is a table at which to work metal. You can bend sheet metal, wire rod, square rod, all sorts of metal. There's a heavy-duty vise to hold stuff while you work on it. And there is a drill press to do things like drilling holes in the side of a skillet. Okay? So, what we have here is a decent living history piece. Okay? And to my way of thinking, this is actually preferable to a vintage folding handle skillet, because it's not necessarily a reproduction per se. It is what we call typical of a type, and for all intents and purposes, it's already been destroyed as far as historical value goes. But it's still usable, and that's what we want in living history. Okay? So, If you have the ability to do stuff like this and you have a picture, go ahead and do it. If you have the ability to do it at scale, please do. Get into competition with Dave and sell it to your friends. Let's get some more of this stuff out into the living history community. Let's also understand that as a piece of the material culture, knowing how and why and where and who would make something like this helps us teach history to others and gives us a better understanding of how these people lived. Okay, and just to show you, Dave sent me 2 skillets. This is the 8-inch skillet, and this is the 10-inch. I'm awful glad that I got 2 of them. One to be used at base camp for when I'm feeding more than 2 or 3 people, and this other one over here for spike camp for when I'm just doing myself or a couple friends. What I love about this is it's got a spout on both sides, so I can dump out my bacon fat into a can and save it either way. And this one here, by the way, I like it in that it does have a spout. It's over here on this side, and since I'm right-handed, it's perfect for pouring. It's on the right side for pouring. I had a cold handle skillet where the spout was on the other side, and dumping it was kind of cattywampus. Anyway, there you go. Keep an eye out at Bannerman's Camp Facebook page. Dave is always posting stuff like this, and when he posts it on Bannerman's Camp, sometimes it goes so fast it doesn't get listed anywhere else. Okay. Also, just to let you know, and I'll post a link down at the bottom, because right now I'm old and I can't remember the name of it, but Dave has an Etsy store as well, where he lists a vintage camp and trail. Golly, you just witnessed a miracle right here in front of you. I remembered the name. Vintage camp and trail on Etsy. And Dave has old camping stuff there. Okay. I recently got a pot lid from him. I shouldn't. Did I bring it in here? No, I didn't. But you'll see it in another video. I got that from him as well. He's got some good stuff there. Okay, so look, I'm fixing to head out to the woods. Initially, the next video I do of the new videos that comes out, I've got one I'm going to do where I'm going to build a pack. That's not going to take me too long. After that is done, I will be heading to the woods to do some tests on the Abercrombie & Fitch reflector oven and kind of get familiar with the operation of it so that I can then jump in feet first in doing some of the camp cookery videos. Alrighty? We'll see you down the trail.